Dear students, I welcome you all for the online learning platform for the course Warehousing Automation. And this chapter will take us to the discussions of 3D printing of components rather than warehouses under Unit 5. So what is 3D printing? 3D printing is a colloquial name which is given for additive manufacturing technology. So it is a manufacturing process where three-dimensional objects, three-dimensional objects are created by adding material layer by layer from a digital design. So actually 3D printing is a common term. The actual engineering term is additive manufacturing. So what basically it does is it is going to help us to build layer by layer of three-dimensional parts. So you can actually have the materials where you wish to have, and you can avoid the material where you don't want it to have. So how this can be controlled is by means of the design. So design we can just go ahead with. So that's how it is going to work. So traditional manufacturing process is a subtractive method. Traditional manufacturing means, say we have got a rod, so you wanted to make that into a step, so you remove the considerable amount of material onto the cylindrical shaft. From the raw material we remove whatever the thing we want. So therefore that is called as subtractive manufacturing. On the contrary, additive manufacturing is going to add material wherever we wanted to have. So you can, so what is the advantage here is we can directly go ahead with production of hollow parts. See, you can't, there is no a process available to produce hollow shafts. So hollow shaft, that too in a stepped nature, there is no, only thing is we need to remove material from the inside core part and we need to make it as a hollow. But when we get into 3D printing, the advantage is the design itself will be having hollow nature, and therefore whatever the things you have got in the design, the same can be manufactured. So now, what all are the tendencies, what sort of materials that 3D printing can handle is, it can handle plastics by means of solid form, maybe filament form, or resins it can handle, as well as metals also possible. So metals also can be 3D printed. There are variety of methods are available. So whatever the shape we wanted to have, we can go ahead with that. Now, when we go ahead with the 3D printing, what all are the essential elements or essential or necessary means, the first foremost thing is digital design. So we need to have 3D models of the CAD software. So by using any CAD software, we should develop the models. So usually the models what we developed will be converted into an STL file. So standard tessellation language is it's a expansion for this STL, or even stereolithography is also accepted in engineering community. So that file will be, it will be converted into ST file, then STL, then it is going to be printed. Additive manufacturing process. Now we need to have a printer. So we need to have a printing machine. So there the program, whatever the thing we have just developed has to be fed into it, and material supply has to be there, and therefore we can go ahead with the printing of the part. Now layer by layer only it is going to create. So one layer, the layer thickness can be defined. That's what in the digital part, where whatever the things we wanted to have, we can just go ahead with that. So cross sections, then the infill density, likewise there are different parameters are there, we can define. As a user we can control the different forms of printing parameters, therefore we get a sound quality printed part. So as discussed earlier, varieties of materials are possible. Today, even bioplotting is possible. So bioplotting or even editable substances like chocolate. Chocolates can also be 3D printed. So application. So basically it is used for rapid prototyping. That is, within least possible time you are supposed to get a product. So it should be complex in nature. It should be customizable. Maybe medical devices like prosthetics or the teeth, okay, crown of the teeth, or even with respect to jewelry applications where we have got some intricate designs. Only one part I wanted to have, not on a massive scale. Okay, on a restricted quantity we wanted to go ahead with. Yes, 3D printing is going to be one of the best alternative. So this is how exactly the product has been done. So we just go ahead with the design. So whatever the thing we wanted to have in the form of digital design, the same can be printed layer by layer. So initially we make the design, it is converted to STL. So I wanted to students to recall this STL. It is standard tessellation language, TESSELLATION, tessellation. or usually it is also called as stereolithography. So from that we get the codes after slicing. So slicing parameter can be designed. So it is going to print layer by layer, and finally we get the part. Maybe some post processing can be applied to get the aesthetics and appearance of the part in a good way. So now what basically 3D printing does in the context of warehouses, see, it has revolutionized warehouse processes by enabling on-demand production of parts, improving agility, reducing inventory costs, and supporting automated workflow. See, now one foremost thing is, because of some emergency only one part is essential, and today say assume it's a Sunday, it's a non-working day or some festival holidays where we may not be in a position to open the warehouse, or the relevant people may not be available, human source may not be available, so that we need to go identify only one part I wanted to have. On a foremost emergency cases, we just wanted to have one part. So all the automation systems, WMS, everything should be switched on. Maybe for booting up and for calibration itself will take some half an hour or so, whatever may be the conditions. Now under this scenario only one part is essential. Okay, so how to go ahead is, so that is where 3D printing comes into the role play. So in warehousing automation, such on-demand 3D printing delivers tangible benefits for equipment maintenance, customization, and logistics optimization and inventory management. So for one part, you need not to break your head for all these cases. Okay, only one part is essential. So directly have a 3D printer and immediately you can go ahead with printing of the part. Print one particular part and you supply to them. Over. That's it. Simple concept. Okay. So that is how it works on. On-demand spare parts. See, it is not for all, only for the case which is having high demand. So warehouses uses 3D printing to produce replacement parts or components as soon as the need arises. So minimizing downtime and ensuring operational continuity. So this is especially crucial for automated systems and warehouse robots which experiences heavy wear and require frequent maintenance. So some applications we just go ahead with this only for on-demand case, not for all. Now what are the cost benefits we can expect is reduced inventory cost. See, you need not have good amount of volume, only one spool of filament will solve the purpose. So thereby warehouse is one which is associated with cost and energy, so that can be minimized in this regard when we go ahead with 3D printing of parts. So customization and flexibility. Yes, 3D printing makes it possible for customized case. I wanted to have this particular path, everything the same, only this particular projection alone, rather than 10 mm, I wanted to have 15 mm. Else everything is same. Means yes, we can go ahead with customization the way how we wanted to have. So therefore custom built in or tailoring purpose is possible when we go ahead with 3D printing. Agile manufacturing enables fast prototyping, rapid testing, and iterative improvements for robotics and automation integrations in warehouse. So essential for staying responsive to business and market demands. See, whenever you wanted to do everything in a very faster rate, so the only option is going ahead with 3D printing. Support for automated packing. See, it is not only for the part, even for some packing or something. Say for example, we wanted to have some case only for one particular part because it has to be shipped by means of air or something like that. Yes, for specific parts, yes, it is possible. So again and again I emphasize, it is not for regular parts, only for some on-demand part. So global scalability, wherever you have wanted to the part to be, only internet connection is essential. You send the 3D design to them, they will be able to print. So therefore it is going to reduce the load on the warehouses for the on-demand cases. Technology maturity. See, whenever there is a technology, obviously there will be some sort of limitations will be there. Now all the parts cannot be 3D printed. Why? Because it is still in infancy stage for certain materials. So all the parts may not be able to be 3D printed. And another important thing is traditionally manufactured product is going to have a different strength. And the parts which are made out of 3D printing is going to have some other strength. So both may not be same. They may not be having the same. You cannot be able to, will not be able to compare both this part. So there is a restriction in this regard. So that has to be obeyed properly. Print speed and size. See, when printing is going on, based on the size of the 3D printer, the print volume is restricted. You can't theoretically print say 1 meter by 1 meter of some half a meter breadth. So no, build volume will decide, that is the machine will decide the build volume. So therefore that is not possible. And printing speed, the rate at which prints, okay, so there is a restriction. So therefore again that is not possible. So that's going to be a potential limitation. The cost factors, some cases printer might be costly, so that may not be affordable for all. So some cases, yes, these barriers are there, still working is going on in this regard. So to summarize the presentation, so 3D printing we discussed on a very superficial case, then followed by how 3D printing can be implemented in an automated warehouse. How it is going to minimize the load onto the warehouse was the thing which was discussed. And finally, to summarize, we discussed about the limitations pertaining to 3D printing as applied to an automated warehouse. Okay, so with this presentation we just come to the end, and thank you students, thank you for your active participation. So any doubts, kindly note it down. We shall discuss the same in the upcoming online classes or during our offline discussions. Okay, so thank you one and all.